February is looking dangerously ambitious. This is one of those months where I'm not just reading random books, I am in the middle of multiple very different journeys and I've somehow decided on top to start a few new ones as well. For this month we've got galactic war and political chess matches, a classic party-based fantasy, a fragile genius trying to survive the military, sheep, and a man reliving his life over and over again. So basically, emotional stability is not on the February reading schedule. So let's talk about the books I'm planning to read. First up is Mobilization by Yoshiki Tanaka, the fifth book in the Legend of the Galactic Heroes, a Japanese military space opera. Going back into Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which means space politics, military strategy, and just people being exhausted by everyone around them. And honestly, I'm always ready. This series has fully become my sit down and pay attention read. It's not something I casually dip into. I have to be in a mood to follow the strategies, the shifting alliances, and the ideological clashes between democracy and autocracy. But when I am in the mood, nothing else hits like this. And where I am right now, the story is deep into long-term consequences of earlier decisions. Every campaign matters, every promotion matters, and every political move has a ripple effect. And what I love most is that victories in this series rarely feel clean. Winning usually just creates another new problem. And my expectation for this volume is just more brilliant strategy, more political frustration, and just more of the same. And I very much enjoyed the previous book in the series, Stratagem, and after doing a review of it last week, I'm very much ready for this one. Now this is probably going to be my slowest read of the month, but also the one that feels the most substantial. And next up is The Crystal Shard by R.A. Salvatore, which is the first book in the Icewind Dale trilogy. From galaxy-spanning war to ice barbarians, dwarves, and a certain very famous dark elf. This is my first time properly diving into The Crystal Shard, which is basically a classic D&D style fantasy comfort read. This is the kind of book where you don't go in expecting deep philosophical exploration, but you go in for a clear villain and adventuring party, and there's some fun action scenes and that cozy early fantasy paperback feeling. I'm curious how this one is going to land for me, because all the fantasy can go one of two ways. Either it feels charming and foundational, or it feels very we haven't figured everything out yet. But honestly, I'm in the mood for something more straightforward this month. And after a lot of dense sci-fi and heavy themes lately, a book where the conflict is external and the stakes are clear sounds kind of perfect. So my expectations, a lot of fun. It's probably not going to be revolutionary, but it's just a fun world to hang out in. And the third book is The Warrior's Apprentice by Louis McMaster Bujold. The second book, publication-wise, in the Vorkosigan saga. Now this is the one I'm maybe the most excited about. I already had a great time with the first book, Shards of Honor, and I'm trying to go in without knowing as little as possible. But what I do understand is this is where the series really becomes what people love. And I know the series wasn't released in chronological order, but each entry can be read as a standalone, with a solid beginning and ending. And what I'm hoping for here is fast pacing, clever problem solving, and situations spiraling wildly out of control. And that slightly lighter, character-driven sci-fi tone that balances out the heaviness of something like the Galactic Heroes. So this feels like it could be my page turner of the month. And the next one is The Sheep Farmer's Daughter by Elizabeth Moon. From space fleets to a medieval military training and sheep farms. This is the start of the deed of Paxenarian, and I've heard this described as one of the most grounded, realistic feeling military fantasy series out there. We're following a young woman who runs away from home to become a soldier. And from what I understand, this is much more about training, discipline, and the slow process of becoming competent, which I actually love in fantasy. I like when progression feels earned, not just handed out because the plot demands a hero. But I also know this one can be slower and more methodical. So this is a bit of a let's see if I'm patient enough pick. But for expectations, I think it's more or less flashy heroics. It's more grit, structure, and long-term character growth. And possibly one of those books I appreciate more than I emotionally feel connected to. But we'll see. And last but not least, Replay by Ken Greenwood. This is more for the existential crisis slot of the month. Earlier this month I made a video about the standalone books I want to read this year, and this was one of them. Now Replay is about a man who dies and wakes up back as his younger self, with all his memories intact. And this doesn't just happen once, he keeps reliving his life over and over, making different choices each time. And this is one of those classic speculative fiction premises that isn't about action. It's more about regret, second chances, the butterfly effect, and the question of whether we'd actually be happier if we could redo everything. And now I have a feeling this is going to be the most emotionally reflective book of the month. Possibly the one that makes me sit there after I've read it and think about what would I change. This is also my wildcard book. Everything else is war, adventure, or training arcs, and this one is more introspective, personal, and probably a bit melancholic, which means it might be either perfectly timed or absolutely destroy my mood, but we'll find out. So how am I actually planning to tackle this? Galactic Heroes will be my slow, focused read. Warrior's Apprentice is likely my momentum book. Crystal Shard is my lighter classic fantasy book. And Sheep Farmer's Daughter is more steady and a grounded progression read, while Replay is the read when I want something thoughtful and different. So this is an extremely balanced TBR in theory. In practice, there will be some surprises and some will be disappointments, but Hopefully I'll enjoy them all. That's the idea. So, that's my February TBR. Space politics, fantasy roots, military, coming of age, chaotic sci-fi, uh, and one man repeatedly confronting his life choices. And if you've read any of these, let me know which one should I prioritize and which one do you think is going to surprise me the most. And also, feel free to tell me what your February reading plans will look like. Are you being sensible, or are you also pretending you can read 5 very different books and still keep your sanity? And we'll see in March how much of this actually happens. Thanks for watching, and until next time.